Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So these are my sort of post-match thoughts on the Chelsea 3, Brighton 2 match that happened yesterday. So it would be serious here. Like, this was obviously a very good result for us. A very important result after that humiliating defeat against Newcastle last weekend. But the performance was also slightly worrying. There were some great points and there were some atrocious points. For Brighton, though, it would be in serious. This was probably a very good time for us to play them. Obviously, they played in Europe midweek. But if you also look at their starting 11, they had a lot of very key players who were essentially either injured or on the bench because they weren't fully fit. Even with this being said, I think the first 5, maybe 10 minutes, it was a very uncomfortable match as a Chelsea fan because Brighton essentially came out playing the exact same way they always play. They were aggressive. They played nice football. They made our centre-backs feel quite uncomfortable. And watching this match, you kind of felt like this could be a long, long day. However, if you look at our team, just at the back four, for instance, we essentially had 4 centre-backs play in our back four. So we had no natural left back. We had no natural right back. Obviously, 1 or 2 of them because of suspension, other ones because of injuries. But that essentially meant that instead of playing the usual way we play, where we have our 2 centre backs and then we have our left back and right back go and essentially just overlap the wingers, like Reece James normally does, what Chilwell used to always do. We essentially had a kind of a rigid back four. However, the positive about this is it meant that we had more height in the team, which is why on set pieces we would be more dangerous than we would be with someone like Reece and Chilwell, from corners, from free kicks. And funny enough, that's kind of how we got our first goal. So we got our first goal at the 17th minute. Corner comes in. Then Badia Shaw, I think, gets one of the best assists I've seen in a long time, which I'm still surprised no one's talking about. Little kind of overhead kick for it back into the box. And then, ironically enough, Enzo, who's one of our smaller players, jumps and out jumps Colwell. And great header. Very important. And I love the fact that he scored. I mean, since we bought him, he's probably been one of our best players. But a lot of criticisms come at him, especially in recent weeks, over kind of maybe his lack of goals or just assists. And it was great that he's got 2 goals yesterday. Now, for our second goal, ball comes into the box again. And, I mean, it's Colwell, which was so good. Obviously, the guy was on loan in Brighton last season. But I still love the fact that he ran off to celebrate and they had to quickly just stop himself. I thought that was great to see. And I'm really glad that he scored as well. So after Chelsea go 2-0 up, you're thinking, Chelsea are at Stamford Bridge, you're 2-0 up. Brighton are clearly a very depleted squad, very, very weak team compared to what they normally have. You're thinking Chelsea are going to dominate the ball, completely control, maybe try and score as many goals as they can to really get their confidence as high as possible. But it was actually the complete opposite. It was a really weird moment in the match. After we went 2-0 up, it's as if the players just stopped. They just kind of assumed that the match was done and that they didn't need to do anything else, because the whole stadium went really flat. The players just kind of dropped off completely. Brighton then got themselves back into it. They started playing brilliant football. They started pressing. They started really pushing Chelsea back. They started skipping through our midfield as if there was no one there, because everyone, bar one player who we'll talk about in a sec, was terrified to make a tackle. And the one player who wasn't terrified to make a tackle made a few stupid tackles. And then, obviously, you get to the end of the first half, last maybe a few minutes before half-time, and a Brighton player is running at the Chelsea defence. And Colwell when he plays left-back, he does this really frustrating thing, and he's done it a few times now, where instead of going towards the ball and trying to close down the angle, he steps back. And he stepped back so much so that he was close to the 6-yard line in the box. And it meant that the Brighton player was right on the edge of the box, just inside. And because Colwell had stepped back so much, the Brighton player had enough time and enough space to have a shot, and it was a great goal. It was a really good finish as well. But all of a sudden, Chelsea, the whole stadium, when Brighton got back into it at 2-1, the whole stadium seemed like everyone was really nervous. Despite the fact that we were still 2-1 up, it all of a sudden felt like Brighton was in complete control. And then a moment of pure stupidity by someone who's supposed to be the Chelsea captain that day, essentially just gave the advantage to Brighton. And that moment of pure stupidity was from Conor Gallagher, already on a yellow card. Him and Billy Gilmour were just inside the Chelsea half, so nowhere near the Chelsea goal. And he clearly just for a second thinks that he can get the ball. I mean, he doesn't. He lunges in, doesn't get the ball, takes out Billy, and rightfully gets a second yellow card, and then rightfully gets sent off. And all of a sudden, you just have this whole feeling in this team of they're just panicking. And for the second week in a row, I mean, this is the second week in a row we've had our captain on the day get 2 yellow cards for stupid reasons. Last week, when Chelsea completely capitulated, and then I think we were 3-1 down at the time, Reece James stupidly pulled Anthony Gordon back when he was already on a yellow card. Obviously, he was going to get sent off. And this week, we had Gallagher, who had no reason to lunge in for that tackle, but he just for some reason he just does this quite a lot. He got a couple of reds for us last year as well for poor challenges, and in this match, you could really see that there is a clear discipline issue with this squad. This is one of the main issues I had with our recruitment over the summer. We focused so much on essentially bringing in the top young talent, top young superstars who are between 20 and 22. We didn't even think about bringing in any players who are between 25 and 30. And we just focused on sort of the youngsters who over the next 5 years could become superstars. But the problem with having such a young team, you need leaders. And the problem with having such a young team is I don't think we have, outside of Thiago Silva, I don't feel we have any leaders on this pitch. I mean, we don't. We don't have anyone who, if things get tough, will just grab the players and just get them to just calm down. Because the reality is, we were very lucky not to be down to 9 men. It just felt like we lost complete control. It felt like the players who were playing on the pitch had completely lost control. In the second half, for instance, Caicedo should have been sent off. From what I hear, he didn't even get a yellow card. I'm shocked. I'm sure I saw him get booked, but apparently he somehow survived that. We also had Enzo at that point kicking the ball away, getting an unnecessary yellow card, putting more pressure on himself. We've got some brilliantly talented youngsters, but because they're so young still, because they're still raw in their talent, and also they're just very immature. But we really do have a discipline problem at this club at the moment. And it's something that I'm really hoping Pochettino sorts out. Anyway, in the second half, outside of obviously Caicedo probably should have been sent off, Enzo booted the ball away for some stupid reason. Brighton did what I expect them to do. They dominated the ball. Absolutely dominated. I don't know how they didn't equalise. But then we hit them on the counter-attack. Starts with Sanchez. Eventually gets to Mudryk, he's gone past Milner. He's gone past Milner. He's going to get to the ball. Whether he's going to score or not, who knows? But he's going to get to that ball. Milner then just knees him in the back of his leg, takes him out, and it is a penalty. We got very lucky we got the penalty, but it is a penalty. And then Enzo steps up, and fortunately he was just having one of those days in front of goal, puts the ball away. Great. We're 3-1 up. And you're thinking, okay, this is good. We're fine. Let's just get through the rest of the match. And then we were doing so well at that point. We did so well for the next 15, 20 minutes or so, or however long it was. And then right into added time, they signaled, I think, 10 minutes of added time, which I still think is crazy. The ball comes into the box and they score. I think it was from a corner. It was ridiculous. For some reason, Chelsea cannot defend set pieces, whether it's corners, free kicks, or just balls in the box. I don't know who the coach is who teaches them how to defend set pieces, but he's just not getting through any of the information he's trying to get through. He's just not doing a good enough job, because the amount of goals we've conceded through corners, free kicks, or just simply crosses in the box because players don't pick up their man. So Brighton score, and you're thinking, okay, great. So we were 3-1 up, into added time, and all of a sudden, going to throw it away. Great. It was going to be. You really thought it was going to be a really frustrating match. However, I mean, I think it got to the 12th minute of added time. It was ridiculous at this point. And then I think one of their players tries to cross the ball into the box, hits Colwell right in the head. All the Brighton players do what football players always do: start claiming his hand. Referee said it didn't. VAR then looked at it. I don't know what they saw on VAR, but they then sent the referee to go check the monitor, and it was really weird. It was really weird from VAR to do that. Ref then obviously went to check the monitor, and obviously said it was nothing. It clearly didn't hit his hand. It couldn't be a penalty. Player, I think it was then a dead ball situation. I don't know. I think it was meant to be a corner, but for some reason they couldn't even get that right. But either way, I think we got to minute 17 of the added time. I think we did an extra 7 minutes. I don't know why. It really it felt like the game was never going to end. And then finally the whistle was blown and Chelsea got away with one. And obviously, 3 massive points. We've moved from 10th to 10th. But either way, just relieved to get that one out of the way. Our next game is against United. And they are so bad at the moment. However, as recent history shows, it doesn't matter how bad United are. Chelsea just can't seem to beat them at Old Trafford. Old Trafford just seems to be a stadium where we never do well. And obviously, we're now going to be without Conor Gallagher. So hopefully, maybe Nkunku might be able to play a bit. I don't know. But we're missing Gallagher. Reece, I think, might be back because I think it was a 1-game suspension. But hopefully, I'm really hoping that we stop getting needless red cards now. And anyway, I'm hoping that if we win this game, I think we can get ourselves back into contention for a European spot, whether that is Conference League or anything, I don't know. But this is a massive game because it's another game we need to win. We've got 6 games left until the end of the year. We need to pick up as many points as possible. And it starts with a hopeful win against United at Old Trafford. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all on Wednesday when we've hopefully gotten our first win in a while at Old Trafford.